everybody! Do you struggle with masculine cards? You know that I love them, and I have some great ideas for you today that are easy, quick, and take very few supplies. If you don't have these supplies, you can easily use something else. So we're going to do some heat embossing, we are going to do some die cutting, and we're going to do a little bit with embossing folders. So if you want to see all of these cards come to life and learn lots of tips and tricks in the process, make sure to hit the like and subscribe, and let's get into it. All right, so today we're going to start with some white paper, and we're going to start with the new Heritage Quad from Seth Apter and Wow Embossing. And these are colors that I thought were perfect for masculine cards. You can see that these bottles will not stay here, but it's basically multiple colors. I'm going to show you two different ways to heat emboss to create your own colored cardstock. And I'm going to talk to you about the differences in these two ways and the advantages, disadvantages of each so that you've got ideas. Then we're going to do a ton of die cutting, and we're going to add the most amazing details and talk about the layouts of masculine cards and just ways that you can kind of overcome that battle of what in the world am I going to do? And then with like any other type of heat embossing, you're going to keep moving your embossing gun so that you don't burn anything, and you can come from the back and the front. And then once it's nice and heated up, it makes this more plasticky, shiny look. Now, the second way to do this is to add adhesive. So this is double-sided adhesive, and this comes off a roll that almost looks like a toilet paper roll. It doesn't matter what size you want to do. I just knew we were going to be doing a lot of cards, so I wanted to go ahead and get these colors and everything ready. So I did a big sheet, and then I'm going to use that adhesive to hold my embossing powder. So this is definitely a faster way, and it gives a little smoother look to your embossing powder, which could be good or bad. If you really want lots and lots of dimension, sometimes building up the layers with the ink is a little bit easier. But right here, it looks like I'm just going to use the whole bottle of embossing powder, but it really is amazing how far you can go with these. I did tons and tons of panels, and I still did not use even half of the embossing powder in these little vials. So when heating over the adhesive, you need to move fast. You need to be very careful that you don't get the heat too close, or you can bubble up the adhesive. And so you're really just kind of taking your time with it. Make sure that you've got some good movement of the heat and that you don't hit one spot too hard, or you're going to end up with a bubble from the adhesive below. And this makes a slicker, more uniform look. This is the color Admiral. Now I'm going to do tons of die cutting, but I'm not going to do this on camera because you can cut these things. I'm going to show you what I'm using, and I'm going to cut quite a few out so that we can go into our design of the masculine cards, how I put them together, and what I'm using for my inspiration. All of these panels were made with adhesive. You can tell they're a little shinier, but these are all four of the colors. This is a new die set from Altenew called Nesting Triangles, and it has 3 different shapes of triangles. I'm going to stick with one shape to make this easy, especially if you were deciding that you wanted to make your own triangles out of colored cardstock or heat embossed paper, whatever you want to do. You can cut your own triangles. I think that this definitely makes it faster, but I'm going to use 4 different size triangles in different ways to create some really cool looks. So we'll use these 4 smaller triangles from this set. There's so many options with it. You've got all kinds of things you can do. If you have the dies, you can do things like cut little sizes out of the middle, which makes it more of a outline frame. Whereas if you're cutting with a paper cutter, you might need to do something that are all solid images. So cut out all the sizes and all the colors. It's nice that we've got red, we got blue, we got white and green in this mixture of this Wow embossing. And now we're going to I'm going to take you through the process of creating a masculine card and where I was thinking on these and just some easy things that you can do with supplies you already have. I'm going to be using Altenew's new fine liner pens. These are black pens in different widths. And what I've done is grabbed myself a ruler, which you can do this with any black pen. And I just decided that since we were doing a geometric card, I was going to really add some details that I thought people could do at home. So I'm going to grab a ruler and I'm going to draw some lines on this paper. You don't have to do this exactly like I did, but I really do love how it turned out. Now, it probably makes sense to actually measure this out, but I just moved my ruler along and kind of made different length lines. I didn't even make the spacing exactly the same because I just wanted to show you that you can just add some details to your paper and create some really cool looks. So I'm just kind of going along the side and I'm going to do kind of the middle 2/3 with lines that are different lengths. And I'm covering about 2/3 of the left side of this paper. And that's just to give me enough space to put those cute little triangles. Now it's time to play with some different arrangements. I knew that with these black lines that I wanted to do a black sentiment, and I was trying to decide where I put it. But let me kind of speed ahead and show you what I end up doing. I end up keeping all the triangles pretty much the same size, but I use a solid one, and then I use a frame that is about that size for each of these. Now, before I get all the layers, I'm adding this stamp that says happy birthday kind of right in the middle. I'm always needing masculine cards for birthdays, and so I wanted to add that right there in those lines. Okay, I added the triangle frames and look at how beautiful it is. It's so simple. It's just got colorful triangles. It's got those little lines that we made, and it turned out awesome for a masculine birthday card. Now for our second card, it's all going to be about texture. We're going to use an embossing folder to create some background texture on this craft piece of paper. And then we're going to use an embossing folder to create texture on our die cut pieces. So I'm going to take some of the solid pieces and add them to this kind of geometric embossing folder from Altenew. I think it looks so cool, so I decided to do a few more. This texture on texture looks so cool. Now, if you don't have embossing folders, you could do this. You could run these through a die cutting machine and press in something like a stencil or just something to make kind of an indentation in them. I did use some black triangles just to make this pop out a little bit more. So I kind of created a shadow triangle on these. Next, I use a stamp set that had lots of happy birthdays. This is from Altenew and it's called the Birthday Builder. And I'm going to stamp these in clear ink on black paper. And we're going to use some bright white opaque embossing powder to create some nice sentiments. So I'm going to do 2 happy birthdays in different fonts and we're going to use those for our next 2 cards. Quick tip with white embossing powder over black cardstock. People get real worried about using all of the anti-static powder, but I'm going to show you how fast that comes off. Once you finish embossing, you can just use a microfiber cloth and wipe off the paper. And because that embossing is like plastic, it doesn't mess up your writing, but it takes the extra powder off. Look at how good this looks. So I did back it with some black paper and I was using a sticky mat from Altenew. It's kind of like a Cricut mat just to kind of hold my pieces together. It's really nice to use that when you're trying to line everything up. But this turned out so good. I just love how it looks. For the last card, I'm going to look at adding different things to create texture. So we're going to use an embossing folder on the background. And I just love how that looks on gray. But what I wanted was a really nice pop of color with these more muted triangles. So I started kind of looking at my piece of paper, especially since it was gray, and thought, what can I do? And I found this orange twine from Lawn Fawn and decided that would be the perfect extra element. You could do this with any kind of string or stitching floss, anything you can find. You could possibly even use some ribbon, but it looks really cool to have that gray background, some blue, and that pumice stone, which is another form of gray, and then have that pop of color. And orange and blue are complementary colors, so they work really well together. So I'm going to show you how I use this because people often ask, how do you get the thread to stick and what do you do to put it down on the piece of paper? And I actually have a real specific way that I do this. So let me show you. So first you want to have a general idea where you're going to put this string. And when I was looking, I kind of set up the card a little bit and I think it would look really cool just wrapped around right there, but I decided that I'd make it a little bit more abstract because everything has such sharp lines on this. So what I did is I looked at it and decided, okay, yeah, that's definitely what I'm going to do. Let me show you how easy it is to get this in a fun pattern. Okay, so we're going to pull out a long piece of this and I'm just going to wrap it around my fingers, just making loops. And this you can do as many fingers as you want. I did my whole hand. I have kind of a small hand, and that's going to be about the biggest loop. But you've got this looped piece of thread, and now you're going to put it down and we're going to kind of build on top of it. So I'm not going to specifically add any adhesive. Now I know that I'm going to put this behind the happy birthday. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some foam tape strips to the happy birthday that we've already got. And I'm going to do it just on the edges because I want all of this to go kind of through the middle and under all of those amazing triangles. So I'm adding foam tape strips to the edges. These foam strips will give us room to build up our layers. So they're going to give us room for all of that thread to fit. But we're still going to do one other thing because we want to have something that's kind of grabbing onto the thread as well. So we're going to add some regular double-sided adhesive to the middle back of this. So the two edges are raised up a couple millimeters and the center is just going to be strips of adhesive to help hold on to this string. Now you could do the same thing and put some glue in the middle, but it's going to give you a better hold with the double-sided adhesive, at least quickly. So I'm going to go ahead and line up my happy birthday, and then I'm going to put that string kind of just haphazard underneath it and then seal the second side. So I've got one side that is all the way down, and I'm going to add that other side, just press it down where that foam tape is. And then we can go in with our tweezers and kind of move this string around however you want to, so that it fits your design. You can pull on edges and change the loops a little bit. Just play with it and do whatever you want to with it. And just remember to be gentle with it. It's got some hold there on the back, but as you put your triangles and do your design on top of the string, you're going to need to use different levels of foam tape because this design kind of overlaps, but also whatever adhesive is on the back of your triangles is going to help hold that string down as well. Now, if you've watched my recent lives, you know my love of different levels of foam tape. So right now I'm using the 1 millimeter. And as I build this up and things are taller, you can add extra layers. But I also have most foam tape is about 2 millimeters. So this is a skinnier foam tape. And then I can build my layers with different levels of foam tape and really create some cool dimension here on this card. So when you're looking at this design, I definitely wanted to keep my triangles kind of an odd number. So I originally started with 3 on the top and 2 on the bottom, but I just kept seeing so many triangles. We'd cut so many that I wanted to add some more up on the top just to give a little bit of color variation. And when I added the 4th one on the top, I knew that I was going to need more on the bottom. So basically I started out with the idea that we were just going to go with these 5 right here. And then when I looked at it again, which you definitely could stop at 5 if you want, I was like, nope, I think I got to go to 7. Do y'all ever feel that way with your cards where it's just like, well, let me just add just a little bit more? So I did stop at 7 of the triangles here, and it looks so cute. I think this one probably took me the longest because I was really messing with those triangles and wanting them to look great, but I think it was worth it. I know that you probably do the same thing where you just keep adding to a card, but I had so much fun with that one. I love how this embossing folder one turned out, and these fine lines were quite surprising to me at how much they added to this card. Let me pop back in and chat with you real quick. Okay, tell me which one was your favorite. This one has the fine lines that we drew. This one, I love this brown background that has the embossing texture on both the die cuts and the background. And then this one, we threw in some little extra string to really make it extra special and just to give it that nice pop of color. So tell me which of these cards you like the most in the description below. If you're looking for supplies today, make sure you go to the link. It'll be in the pinned comment, and that will take you to all these supplies and use my affiliate links, which really help me out. So if you're going shopping, make sure you use those. If you haven't done it yet, 70% of people watching this video are not subscribed to my channel. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and hit the like. That helps me out, and I appreciate you so much. Have a great day. Bye.